H O H O Buckeye Lounge, we run this game. Shrockstar Sean, remember the name. TG's lurking, Wolverine's fear. Scarlet and gray, make it loud and clear. O H O H TG and Sean, bringing that smoke. They stand in the paint, that ain't no joke. Tune in, turn up, let the show begin. The Buckeye Lounge, straight fire within. O H O H Buckeye Lounge, we run this game. Shrockstar Sean, remember the name. TG's lurking, Wolverine's fear. Scarlet and gray, make it loud and clear. O H O H
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Buckeye fans of all ages, the Ohio Podcast proudly brings to you the Buckeye Lounge. I'm your host, the Shrockstar Sean Schrock. Along with me, as usual, my partner in crime, my co-host, the Wolverine Slayer, TG. And tonight we have a very special guest with us, Nate from Man Coverage Podcast joins us. How you doing, Nate? TG, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, that's great. I'm doing great myself, and I'm wearing this awesome freaking t-shirt. I know for a fact that all y'all know this t-shirt. Hey, Sean and them would know. I sent this a picture of this to them back when I was out on the 4th of July with family. So that'd be a fun time.
And we also want to give a shout out to a guy helping us tonight. He's our new producer for the show. He's been helping us behind the scenes, Mr. Buckeye Vader. So please, everybody, just know he's part of our show. He helps us behind the scenes. And he does a lot of work. So it's a big part of our team. So we just want to give a shout out to him and thank him for all his hard work that he does.
Yep,
we wouldn't be able to do what we do without him. So Nate, give us a little, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let the fans know, how you got started and a little bit about your show.
Yeah, man. I started doing shows about 5-6 years ago. Initially, I was played college football up in Ohio, and after that, I did some coaching, and then actually sold stuff to coaches for a long time. I sold the headsets that the coaches wear on the sideline, and the video editing software that teams use to cut up film. So I, was pretty close to the game for a long time, and kind of got out of it for a while. And then podcast out of New York City hired me to come on and do some college football spots. And I was just doing like one day a week, just for like 15 minutes, and I kind of grew to have a love for it, and eventually started my own show with Rico McCoy, a former Tennessee volunteer linebacker who was a recruit at Ohio State. It came down to UT and Ohio State for Rico, and me and him started the show Man Coverage, and started doing the college football stuff, and been doing it ever since down here. I'm a Buckeye fan living in Tennessee, so I'm down here in enemy country in SEC land. So I represent every day down here, and it's hard sometimes, but I keep it real for Buckeye fans, down in SEC country all the time. And let me tell you, that playoff game was a big day for me, because I had people running their mouth, quite a bit before that game went down. So I was pretty happy with the result, and I was walking with my chest puffed out for weeks after that one.
Did you and Rico have any bets on that game?
We didn't have a bet, but we did just did the traditional. You got to wear my team's colors after the game. So I still stay in touch. Rico's now coaching at a junior college out in Kansas, so he doesn't do the show with me as much anymore. He comes on, as a guest when we can get him, but we still stay in touch, and I certainly got into him on that one. So that was a big victory, and especially just the way that it started. They were running their mouths so much about how they were going to take over our stadium and Neyland North and all that. And man, it was Neyland North for about 10 minutes. So I hope they enjoyed that.
And they're gonna rip the goalpost down and everything. They had a map all drawn out where they were gonna take the goalpost down to the river and chuck it in there. And I guess that didn't last too long, did it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, you think you would have learned from, because when Miami had the whole shirts, remember back in 2002 what they told us, Sean, about how they had the whole shirts and flyers made up about them beating us? You would think for every other team you wouldn't do that with the Buckeyes. Don't do that. Don't do that. You would
No,
think don't do that.
we were already pissed off, after that game, the final game of the season. I won't talk too much about that, but obviously we were already, the coaches, the players, the fans, everybody was already pretty pissed off after that final game of the season, and then these clowns come out of the locker room with their shirts off, and let me tell you, I'm not a bodybuilder. But I got more business taking my shirt off than some of those dudes, and it just started from there. I was like, "What are these clowns doing?" And it just got worse from there, which is hard to believe. But yeah, man, that was a great day for me, and man, I was really happy to get that victory, and I was really happy just the way that whole game started and finished. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't keep those shirts off too long, did they?
No, they ran right back and put it on. And you know what's funny is Will Howard said that's how we knew we got these clowns, because it's like the second we saw them do that, we're like, we got these dudes. These
Yeah, I heard that in that Gruden interview. He was just laughing all about it, and you take your shirt off for 10 seconds. I don't know if that's really gonna scare the opponent too bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think the whole reason they were doing that, I think as Tyler was trying to say, they were trying to impress us by showing us that they can handle the cold. Because we know how us Buckeye, how us fans up here in the North be saying, if the SEC had to come up here and play in the kind of weather we do, the cold weather, they wouldn't be able to handle it. And Tennessee wants to prove they could, and it turns out you really couldn't.
No, yeah, we've been saying that for years, and then finally, they have to play, a bowl type game up in the elements, and look what happened. We've been saying that for years.
Right, exactly. It's like, dude, Big Ten teams can handle going down to the South because they play in the heat up here. When it's summertime, especially like in August, in the beginning of August, going to November, where it starts getting a little colder. So, like, they're used to playing in the hot elements. They even practice in it all the time. So, like, they're used to it. It's the fact that for the South schools, you can't handle playing up here because you don't play in that kind of weather down there. You don't even practice in that kind of weather. You're literally just a Southern team. That's all you are. You're just a warmth team. You're a team that can't handle playing in the cold, which is where it's like you're gonna have to learn how to handle that when you go to the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, they do that even when it starts getting cold up here. These clowns take it inside, and they're playing in their indoor facilities. Every week during practice, and even if they're outside, it's not like I've lived in both places for over 20 years, and it's me. Tennessee winter and Ohio winter are two very different things.
Mm-hmm. And think about it too. Like our guys, they practice all the time in the cold. Even when it snows, they're out there practicing in the snow. I'm like, hey, you're gonna have to play in that weather at some point. So they're gonna make it seem like, hey, you're gonna practice in the snow. Don't matter how cold it is, you practicing in it. They make that a point.
Yeah, they didn't have these indoor practice facilities back when I played, man. It didn't matter what the weather was. We were outside.
Yeah.
We were out in the rain in Ohio. You're in the rain, you're in the snow. Whatever it was, we were out practicing. We didn't have any indoor stuff either, man.
Yeah, like the only time Ohio State will let them go in there to do some practicing is if it's like, listen, we're just gonna do this, and this, and then we're gonna take our butts straight outside.
Yeah.
Now, Nate, I got a question for you. How did the Tennessee fans handle the way what Nico did, demanding that $1 million in a way, how the team handled it, how the coaches handled it. Where were the fans? What side were the fans on?
You know, I think the fans were on. They sided with the coaches. I mean, they really were on board with not giving this kid. This kid got $8 million before he had ever thrown a pass. At least I don't know if he got all that money up front because these aren't public deals.
Sure.
He essentially was promised $8 million before he ever took a snap. So when he does finally gets to be the starter. He takes them to the playoff. They get dismantled in the playoff game. I think nobody was upset with his play, but they were kind of like, okay, here we go. And then he starts demanding more money, and that didn't go around go over around here very well. And from what I've heard and from some people I know that are pretty close to the team, it was more his dad than him, and also his camp, so to speak, that were doing a lot of the money asking. And the UT was just took a hard stance, and we're like, listen, we've already got this money allocated for you. We've already given you this money. You're going to get this other money from your original deal is going to come to you. And we're not budging on that. And it actually started, the discussion started before the game in December, and he was considering sitting out apparently. And they talked him into playing, and then as soon as they got their asses kicked, excuse my language, he was right back at it, beating the table for more money, or at least his camp was. And it just was funny to me how before the year, everybody around here was like Nico for Heisman, and he's so good, and wait till you see
Mm-hmm.
him, Nate. And then as soon as all this happened, the kid's trash, and I'm like, wait a second. I,
No,
I
let
thought
me.
I thought this kid was the Heisman Trophy candidate. Now he's no good.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you. Is like with Nico, he was the only Tennessee player in that game that had any dog in him. So like I can see why his camp would demand more money because he was the only one really playing for real. And this guy was getting what? Taking cracks to the helmet. How many times did he get his helmet cracked, Sean?
Twice.
Exactly. And yet he's still out there fighting while the rest of his team, what they doing?
Hey,
You just
no,
get
I couldn't agree with you more. He really, he can't do it all. He was throwing passes. Nobody was getting separation. Nobody was getting open.
Mhm.
He was hitting guys in the hands. They were dropping it. Their best player on offense, Dylan Sampson, I
got
guess
injured.
pulled a hamstring injury and came up lame, and so he was no help to him. And so he was running the ball, he was throwing the ball. He certainly did show up in that game, and I was impressed by the way that he showed toughness and he showed poise, and he never quit. And even when they got down, he kept fighting. So I was impressed with that. And you know what? I ain't got no problem with anybody asking for more money these days. Why not? What are they gonna say? No.
Well, it
But I do.
depends. I would say this: it depends on how well you play. More importantly, because if you're not playing very well and you're asking for money, now that's a problem. But if you're playing well, which is why I say with Nico's camp, while I like the fact that Tennessee took a stance, I'm like, the reality is without Nico, y'all, that game would have looked a lot worse than it should have. Trust
Yeah.
me, that without Nico, that game would have been a legit like. How many touchdown blowouts do you think it would have been, Sean? Do you even think they scored a touchdown?
He kept them in the game. I mean, he was the
Right.
reason that they were getting first downs, not because of his passing, but because of his running. And the
Running.
kid got the crap beat out of him. He
And he was
legitimately
taking
got
hits like no tomorrow. And that's what I'm telling people is like with Nico, while I love the fact that, but with Tennessee, it's like you kind of did this to yourselves though. Like I don't feel bad for you because you you paid this kid a lot of money coming out,
you
and
create a
yet his
monster.
camp,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you come out here. He's the only person with any dog in that Tennessee game. Dylan Stewart, not Dylan
Sampson.
Stewart, Dylan Sampson. I
Sampson.
can understand. He pulled a hamstring and he would have been the next dog. But he
Yeah.
was going to go to the NFL. So let's be realistic. Nico was the only one with any dog in that fight. He was the only one that even kept your team in this game. So if his camp comes demanding for more money, it's because they know he was the only one. Even you know that. And now
Yeah.
your freaking quarterback situation is going to be a lot worse. And
Yeah.
not only is it going to be a lot worse, I don't think your team's going to be anywhere near as good as it was last year. Now,
No,
am I saying that Nico's going to be great at UCLA? I'm not saying that, even though I will say UCLA just all of a sudden started putting money into their team.
yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Look at that. Look how weird that turned out. But there's a chance he could be good at UCLA. There's a chance. I'm just saying.
Hey, you know what? He didn't like get bad overnight. I mean, this kid
Yeah.
still got skills. He's got the size. He's 6'5". You know, he's got the length. He's got a good arm. I could see him. You know, if they can get some pieces around him, you know, making that team better for sure. And Tennessee is definitely the. I don't care what they say. They are a worse football team without him. You know, I know they picked up Aguilar, the kid that was actually transferring to UCLA from Appalachian State. They kind of traded quarterbacks. But let me tell you, they got the bad end of that deal because Nico is a much more proven commodity, especially in the SEC. You know, than Aguilar playing at Appalachian State, and then they've got Merklinger and they've got George McIntyre. Neither one of those guys has ever really seen the field. So you've got one guy that's kind of played, you know, okay and shown some flashes at Appy State, and then two other guys that have never done anything. So, you know, if you're going to just cut bait and, you know, tell this kid to walk, you better have, you know, a plan. And I'm not sure they did. And that may come back and bite them, guys.
McIntyre
it
is a
will.
5-star though. He was their 5-star high recruit.
But is he ready though? That's the
No,
problem.
probably
Like
Who's that?
not. No.
McIntyre, George McIntyre.
Yeah, no.
Like
I watched
if
him
he's
play
not
last
ready,
year, man. He played locally here. He played for Brentwood, and you know, I go to a lot of my alma mater. I went to Knoxville Catholic High School down here, and moved from Ohio here and played high school, and then I moved back up there to play college. And I saw George. You know, and he's got some raw ability, but do I think he's ready to play right now? Definitely not.
no, not at all. And that's why I'm like, with Tennessee, you're really gonna regret that. Because even I think Nico's folks knew that. Like, look, without him, Tennessee's gonna be bad. Like, I know a lot of people tend to think he's not this great quarterback, but let's be real, Nico is the one reason why anybody took Tennessee seriously. Without him, Tennessee's just trash. And I think some players had transferred out because Nico left. So like, this actually is what kept your team there. So
Well,
you
and
kind of
and
burned
and and besides Samson, I mean, what else did they really have last year? I mean, their wide
nothing.
receivers were just, you know, once Jalen Hyatt left, and once Cedric Tillman left, and once Brew McCoy got injured, you know, they didn't really have any playmakers. They didn't have anybody that could get open. They didn't have a consistent, you know, downfield threat. You know, Mike Matthews, who's the, you know, young, highly recruited wide receiver that they had, he hasn't really blossomed, and so, you know, I think Nico really, you know, was a big part of the success they had, and you know, they
Him and
didn't have
Sampson.
have anybody helping him out.
Him and Sampson. And let's be real, that offensive line also stunk.
Yeah,
That,
no,
that defense
Samson
was
had that
good.
team on his back all year long. I mean,
Him
set
and
the
Nico.
set the record for touchdowns in a season. Beat Derrick Henry's record, and you know, had so many yards. I mean, he was up for the Heisman and should have been probably even a little bit higher. And you know, SEC Player of the Year. You know, Dylan Sampson was the real deal, but Nico did his thing as well, and I think didn't get the credit he was probably due, considering he
hmm
wasn't getting much help.
That defense was good too. Let's
I
not,
mean, that's the other part too, though. The
yeah.
defense. Like, we're really just
Yeah,
talking about
no,
the
no, no. I'm
offense,
just
John.
talking
Yeah.
offensively.
Yeah,
Offense,
sure,
just
sure,
offense.
no doubt.
Like, we know the defense was good, but we're talking about strictly on offense because
Oh,
the
they didn't
offensive
have
line was
anybody
trash.
spread the field.
Wide
Yeah, maybe
receivers were
spread the
trash.
field.
Tight
So,
ends were not good. And then, like, so outside of Nico and Sampson, who did you have? Nothing.
That was
Like,
it. That was
just
it.
trash. So, you know, um, so like, moving on from Tennessee, because I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of fun, kind of dogging them. Moving on, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of fun because they fans were so ignorant since when that whole so it's kind of fun, kind of dogging them a little bit. But
Yeah.
let's talk
Yeah.
about this the house settlement, because one of the things that has been brought up within Ohio State, the media and the fan bases, is the house settlement harming Ohio State. So do we think that this cycle will be rough for Ohio State or no? Like, that's the whole thing, is will it be rough? And do you think this will be a long-term hit for Ohio State, or do you think Ohio State will have long-term success? Because for me, I'm trying to figure out why is everybody acting so stupid. Do you not know the rules? Did you not read the rules? Ohio State's following the settlement, and when you look at how much money is being allocated to these players, I don't think Ohio State, regardless if the house settlement was here or not, would have gotten any of these recruits, because they're not paying the kind of money some of these kids getting. Like, you really think they finna pay Luke Waffle $2.6 million. The entire D-line room's made $2.7 million. So this kid basically making as much as the entire Ohio State D-line, almost, by like a point down. And then you also got Carter Meadows, who I think got a big freaking like a 7-figure deal from Michigan, which not surprising. These guys don't follow the rules anymore. And then Felix Elder got like a $5.1 million deal. I know Texas trying to play that down, but not like no. You played that man a lot of money. Don't play it. Don't put it down. So like no, Ohio State's not winning a lot of these recruiting battles, regardless, because it's like they're not paying that kind of money to any recruit. So people should leave it alone.
Yeah, no, I think Ohio State is following their model. I mean, I think they know what they're doing. They've got their collective set up. They have their people. They've got a general manager. They want to pay players, obviously, and guys that come to Ohio State, they get money, but they don't want to just get the guys that are going for the bag. They want to bring guys here who want to be here. And I think that's smart. I mean, you don't want to bring a guy in who's just going after the most money because hell, next year somebody else may offer him more. So I think going after guys who have, love for the program, who, have love for the recruiters, for Coach Day, and, anybody who's coming after them, Coach Johnson, whoever's meeting with them and who's building a relationship with them, those are the kids that you want to bring here. And, me and Sean talked the other day, you look back at the 2023 recruiting cycle, the kids that were the top 10 rush end players, none of those guys have done anything yet. Whereas some of the guys that were, rated below them have already produced. And so it's not always about what your rating is necessarily. It's about, can you play? What have you put on film? What are your measurables? Do you love football? Are you a hard worker? Those are the types of things that translate over. And I think Ohio State's going about it the right way, in my opinion. Time will tell. But I think so far they've got a plan, and they're kind of sticking to it at this point.
They're willing to pay some of the, like Jeremiah Smith. They're willing to pay a little bit more for him, of course, because he's a generational player. But they have they have a set amount for each position that they're willing to pay, and they're not gonna. I mean, they might go over it a little bit, but the thing is these kids can make a lot more money when they come to Ohio State than they can at these other schools, because you're at, you got all these Fortune 500 companies in Columbus. You don't have that in Ann Arbor. You don't have it in Athens. You don't have it down in, where Alabama's at. I mean, you got all these collectives and all these businesses that will, make deals with these kids, but you got to prove it on the field. I mean, they do the right thing. They invest, a little bit more money in their transfer kids because they proved it. They're not going to go hog wild on a high school kid unless it's a generational talent like a J.J. Smith, which, is understandable. And Pantoni is I mean, we had a GM in place way before these other schools, so we're way ahead of a lot of these other schools when it comes to doing this stuff. So I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's doing this right from a long-term perspective, and most experts believe this is playing right into the long term. And I believe it is. I think Ohio State is doing this right because they're looking at it from a long-term perspective. Will this hurt them in the short term? Sure, because you're going to have people who are just willingly going to ignore the rules. But I think in the long term, this is what's going to help them because they're looking at it like, listen, if we pay these kids outright, it's going to hurt us financially. It really is in the long run. So if we have a set system, which they already have had, and we just do it by that book, and if we have players like a Jeremiah Smith, some people believe Devin Sanchez is that right now, a Caleb Downs, a Nick, Joey, or Chase, an Orlando, a Paris, or Dewan, or even Donnie for that matter. If we have like a generational type of talent at every position, like an Ezekiel Elliott, a Justin Fields, a CJ Stroud, I mean, I can go on. If we have a generational talent, we will be willing to pay that kid more money than the rest of the positions because we see what this kid is. Nobody's mad about Jeremiah Smith. I think the dude was making before this settlement, I think the dude was making like $5 million. He was the highest paid player on the roster out of all the seniors last year because he was that good. Nobody had a problem with that because he was that good. He was generational. So if you're generational, Ohio State's willing to pay that kind of money for you. If you're not, they're not doing that.
Yeah, and I just look at the talent level that this team has right now. I mean, let's be honest. Ohio State has the two best players in all of college football,
Yep.
Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. So you've already got the two best players in all of college football on your roster. You've got a top 5 recruiting class every year for the last 4 or 5 years, and then you're also supplementing that recruiting with the portal. I think Ryan Day's gotten a lot better at using the portal with going out and supplementing this team. Like look at last year. Travion has been a great running back, or was a great running back for Ohio State, but he tended to break down. After he had injuries, so they went out and got Judkins and added him to the mix. And that proved to be very, very helpful to this team as they went down the stretch. They had 2 fresh bodies in the backfield. Not to mention, McLaughlin, adding him at center, adding Simmons the year before at tackle. So it's not just like they're just going out and doing recruiting only. He's adding guys in the portal. Caleb Downs, for example, came from Alabama, as did our quarterback Julian Sayin. So I think they're going to do what they've got to do to get players. And these kids will get paid. But this whole thing was started to pay guys that had proved themselves on the field, that had brought revenue to the school, not just to pay some high school kid to come here, like the quarterback for Michigan, but it's to pay guys that have done something for the college team, not just had an impressive high school career, because that's a lot harder producing in college than it is just putting together a highlight film in high school.
Well, the good thing about JJ last year, most of his money came from his NIL deal. It didn't come from the university. So,
Yeah.
I mean, these are the kind of deals that these kids can get coming here because, Columbus is the capital of Ohio, and there's downtown Columbus. It's a white collar city, and there's a lot of Fortune 500 companies in downtown. And, everybody's crazy about the Buckeyes because they don't really have professional football here. I know they got the Blue Jackets, which is a pro hockey team, but let's face it, Ohio State football is the king of Columbus. So,
Yep.
everybody wants, to get one of these kids to, sponsor, hey, do a little advertising for a company and people are going to buy their stuff. So they know that.
hmm
And
Even
you're
though I will say
set for life, man. You
oh
go
yeah,
to Ohio State, and you can get a job in Columbus the rest of your life. Working for one of these companies, or repping, the university, or working for the university. A lot of these ex players come back and make their home in Columbus because it's a big city and because there's a lot of money to be made here.
Well, that's one thing Urban Meyer did that was brilliant is he hooked all these kids up with internships.
yep.
They all had internships and, they got in with these companies. Even if they didn't make it to the pros, these kids were set for life because we even talked when we interviewed James Cotton, why did you pick Ohio State? He goes, largest fan base, largest alumni. He goes, you're set for life if you're a Buckeye. He goes, all the networking you can do, you need a job after you graduate, someone will pick, you're set. He goes, that's why I would tell people to come to Ohio State. Not only because the football's, top notch, but you'll be set for life, just playing for Ohio State if you don't
Yeah.
make the pros even.
Yeah, what's funny is that's what Tyler had brought it up. Ohio, that basically the Buckeyes are the king of Ohio sports, which he ain't lying about that.
Yeah.
Like he's not lying. So to pick it up and finish off the conversation, I'm gonna ask 2 questions. With the schools that seem to be ignoring the rules, do you think they will pay the price? And also, even though Ross Bjork, he did help create this system, if it hurts our program, which I'm not saying it is, but if it does, could his job be in jeopardy?
I think that to answer your question, I think that I think he's doing a pretty good job right now. I think if the recruiting falls off, heck yeah. Everybody's job is under scrutiny at Ohio State. Every day, these coaches are being talked about and being nitpicked left and right, and so is the athletic
Hmm.
director for sure.
Oh, we're
But
gonna
you
talk
know,
about one of those coaches that are getting picked apart left and right.
yeah, I'm sure we are.
Hmm.
But I think people need to be patient. I mean, this is all new, and look at the change in college football. I mean, let's be honest. I'm a Big Ten guy, but the SEC was tops for a while because they were paying these kids
Hmm.
under the table,
Hmm.
and with the ability now for all schools and everybody to pay kids. The table is turned, and the Big
Yep.
Ten is taking a big step forward and won the last two national championships and has put 71 players into the NFL in this last draft. So I think that there's more of an even playing field right now, and it's just going to come down, in my opinion, to which of these teams manages this whole thing better. You've got to change with the change. You can't just sit here and complain about it and bitch and moan. You've got to figure out the best route to take for your school. But I think Ohio State's got the infrastructure in place. We've got good recruiters. We've got the money. Some of these schools can't pay the $21 million or whatever it is that they're allocated to pay for the football team, and Ohio State's going to have no problem with that. So I think in the end they'll be fine, I've got faith in this guy. I know he's new. I've got some questions about him for sure, but I don't think that Ohio State would have brought this guy in to be the athletic director if they didn't have faith in him understanding how to navigate this process.
If you've seen his job over at Ole Miss as well as Texas A&M, that dude really was great at raising money.
Amen.
Really was great at like really getting the school on top. Like I don't blame him for because as much people don't blame him for the Jimbo Fisher. I'm like Jimbo Fisher was hired long before he got there, so I'm not blaming him for that. And he managed to make the money up to get that
Yeah,
man fired. So, and when I look at his overall
yeah,
history, I'm like, this guy actually could be a really good athletic director, especially because he actually puts football first, unlike our previous one.
I mean, he said football's
yeah.
king. I mean, he said it, and even the president said it. They know football's king. I think he's doing the right stuff right now. I mean, of course, anybody if it doesn't go right, their job's going to be on the line. I mean, every coach every year, look how people freak out about certain things and want coaches fired in the
Yeah.
drop of a hat. So I mean, same
Hmm.
thing's going to be for athletic directors too. So I mean, that's what you sign up for when you come to a place like Ohio State. Is the pressure's always going to be on you.
Yeah.
But
And pressure is what makes diamonds, because that's why Ohio State's continued to be dominant for the past 100 years. You
Yes,
know.
no doubt. There's no doubt.
And
I've
by the
never
way,
I've
to
never
the
seen a place where they expect you to win every game every year. Like this place. It's unbelievable.
yeah, and also to follow up on that question, do you guys believe the schools that are not following the rules will pay the price? And then I'm gonna ask about JJ Smith.
Yeah, I have no faith in this compliance system. I mean, we're still waiting for the hammer to drop on those fools up north. And although I do believe there will be some consequences, or I surely hope there will be.
There will be.
What are who's enforcing all this? There's supposed to be this new group that is going to take over enforcement. Well, there was
Yes.
no enforcement before. So I have a hard time believing that there's going to be enforcement of these rules now, especially when the rules change every time I look at try to look them up. They seem to be changing, so it's hard for me to believe that there's going to be a ton of enforcement, and that certainly does worry me.
well, the one thing
You
I'm
know,
worried about is every time someone sues the NCAA over NIL, they
well,
lose.
this isn't about the NCAA because the NCAA is not the ones in charge of this anymore. Remember, like the NCAA settlement, well,
No,
not the settlement, the NCAA versus House settlement has someone else enforcing that, which is someone from the court system, like among Congress itself. Now they still need Congress's help to make sure that this stays afloat, of
Yeah.
course. And from what I understand is, I mean, we all know President Trump. I hate to bring him up on here, but he wants there to be enforcement of the rules regarding college football. And he even talked about making Nick Saban the commissioner, which I thought was a great idea, to be honest.
I do
And
too.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, so I think there is a chance these rules will stay and will be enforced by those very people, because you can't sue the Congress who basically approved of this. You just
Yeah.
can't. And with the NCAA, their whole thing is to be the enforcement. Like I know we're still waiting on them to put the hammer down on Michigan, but the reality is the reason why they haven't done it and why it's taken so long is because we talked about it. They don't want to give Michigan any leeway into legal battles. They're going to follow their rules no matter how long it takes. They're going to be precise. They're going to dice this up, and however long it takes for them to deliver it, they're going to deliver it. And the best part about it is they're now handling it in-house instead of allowing a outside force to determine the punishments for Michigan, because that's why their punishments have been soft in the past, is because they had an outside committee that wasn't within the NCAA, just a bunch of bleeding hearts from the outside giving soft punishments to these kids and to these schools, where now everything's going to be handled in-house. So I think the punishment is going to be a pretty harsh one, especially because they can't appeal for another one, because who's going to be the same people looking over it? The NCAA. And they're basically going to laugh in your face and say, take the L. So I think they will.
Yeah, yeah. The College Sports Commission, is definitely supposed to be taking over the oversight, in many of these key areas, at least for the 4 major conferences, and I think that is a good thing. Like we were just talking about, I believe the NCAA has been kind of lax in their enforcement of these rules. So I'm hoping, and I'm strongly hoping, that this new committee, this new commission will come in and do a better job of it. And it sounds like they are going to be given the power to do so. So I'm kind of looking at this with a half full glass, and trying to stay positive about it, because I do believe that that they'll do a better job than what's been done in the past, for sure.
Well,
Yeah, well, the
thing
reality is they wanted to enforce rules, but when they got sued, they said, "Screw it, it's the Wild West," and they didn't care. They knew that these schools were going to start talking about we want rules and stuff, where beforehand y'all was suing us about it. So they had to make it a point to these schools with this settlement that you can't sue the NCAA and you can't sue anybody over this anymore. You can't do it anymore. So if you want to enforce rules, you're going to follow exactly the rules that we're telling you, and more importantly, you can't sue us over it, no matter what you say. At the end of the day, so they made that a point too. So they didn't care. Like, remember what happened with the Xavier Lucas stuff and what's going on with Wisconsin and Miami right now? They want that kind of stuff to happen because they knew it would force these teams to want to have to comply with rules at this point.
Well, the thing is the NCAA was so butthurt that they lost, and the kids won, that they were able to get paid, and they were so upset that they didn't put any guardrails up. They just threw their hands up in the air and just do a temper tantrum and walked off. And the problem is the tube's already out of the paste. I mean, the paste is toothpaste is already out of the tube, so you can't put it back in. So they had to go to Congress and get Congress to do this. So I mean, it became the Wild Wild West for the last,
But think about it. Why is it the Wild Wild West? Because of Congress, because they got sued and lost so many times.
Yeah.
Because they fought it, they fought it tooth and nail, instead of, being open to change and allowing this to happen, and, gradually, and putting some rules in place. They just fought it till the end, to where it goes to the Supreme Court, and then they lose, and then all of a sudden this is all legal, and and then there is no rules, and that's been the biggest problem, is that fighting it till the end, and then inevitably losing has caused a lot of the issues, in my opinion, because there is no rules in place, essentially, or there wasn't in the beginning of this thing, and that's why it's been so crazy. And I'm hoping that they can kind of refine this, and that this new commission can kind of enforce some of these rules, and maybe some of these stay at a school longer than a year, and we can get back to some of the old football that we liked, where you can know some of the kids on the team, and it's a little bit more of the traditional football that we know and love.
I also think they need to do something with the transfer portal. Like, I get it. Like, coaches leave, and these kids, sometimes they get stuck in a situation where a coach comes in that, they don't like the kid, or they didn't bring the kid in. He doesn't fit the system. A kid shouldn't be punished for that. He should be able to transfer and go find a place. Or, some of these kids are sitting the bench, are never going to get a chance to play. I think you should have one chance to transfer without being penalized. Or if your coach leaves, then you should be able to leave too. But if you leave more than once, you should have to sit out a year like before, and that'd probably, stop these kids from trying to,
hit the portal every day.
Well, just, I mean, yeah, be just a hired, gun every year,
I can't even imagine playing at 4 schools in 4 years, and there's so many of these kids that are doing that
now.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. I mean, I went to the same school for 4 years and it went by like this. Can you imagine going to a school, being there 3 months, playing football, and then leaving and going somewhere else? I mean, that just doesn't seem like it's good for anybody.
No.
It isn't. All right. So now we can talk about JJ Smith, where he endorsed saying and talked about the Buckeyes, pretty much promising that the Buckeyes will beat the team up north for the next 2 years. What y'all think about that, just to start?
Well, I'll let Nate handle it because he's got to leave soon. So go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I love hearing him say that. I feel like that means that he understands, how important it is, how big the rivalry is. I think he was involved in that game last year, and I think it obviously upset him losing. But talk is cheap, man. You gotta do it on the field. And the big issue the last couple of years has just been so much pressure, going into that game, having stacked up a couple of L's in a row. I feel like these guys are just like going, kind of playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And that was the big thing to me with the whole playoff run. Those guys were just playing completely different. They were playing to win the game, and they were playing. They were just going all out and going after it instead of worrying about screwing up or losing. And I think that's the way you got to approach it. Just go after it like you do every game, and not be worrying about the end result. Just do what you do. I mean, this
Yeah.
team and this staff certainly have the talent to beat that team. They had the talent to beat them last year. For whatever reason, they did not. And we could go over that all day. But I like this kid. He's proven himself on the field. He's proven that he's got the ability to do things that other kids cannot do on the field. And so if he wants to talk, he can, because he can certainly back it up. So I'm cool with him saying pretty much whatever. But I also think we need to make sure that we go into this game this year at the end of the season, going playing to win and not just playing not to lose. And that's been, I think, the biggest problem with this game, the last couple of years.
That
Yeah.
game plan that they had against Tennessee should have been the game plan they used against Michigan, where they just come out firing. And the thing was, is JJ Smith only had, like 3 or 4 targets that Michigan game, which is like crazy. And he was
Yeah.
so upset after that game. And I don't blame him, because what happened during that game? He either got a touchdown or it was PI because they couldn't cover him and they were tackling him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, give Keyshawn Johnson would say, throw me the dang ball,
Yeah, I mean, we'll think about it too. Like, what was the reason why Ryan Day keeps playing like that against them? The cheating scandal really messed them up from a mental standpoint. Like we talk about all the time. Ohio State versus Michigan is a mind game. It's not like who's the most physical. I mean, yeah, physicality plays a part of it, but it's more of a mind game. It's more of who can outcoach the other side. And that's where Ryan Day has failed every time, and he's allowed himself to get outcoached when he shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's his biggest problem. And if he's gotten over that hump, like he's finally gotten over that mental block where he can stop trying to coach not to lose and coach to win this time, I think we should beat them this time. Like
Yeah.
seriously, the last 3 years, because I will ask this: do you think because of their scandals that the scum up north will always have a black cloud over their program?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I really do. I mean, you can sit here and, say whatever you want to say, but let's be really honest. Jim Harbaugh couldn't beat this team.
Nope.
He was about to get fired. If you go back to 2020, they were 2-4, and they didn't even show up for the game, and things were looking bleak. In fact, a lot of people wanted him gone. I think there was a lot of people that thought he was going to get fired, and then all of a sudden, they started playing a lot different, and it wasn't like they got a ton of talent overnight. They had a lot of the same players in that 21 and 22 teams, and it just started looking a lot different. And to me, that just kind of shows that they were doing something. And I really believe that it's been proven that they cheated. I mean, that they were doing things that were against the rules. I mean, you don't get suspended twice in a year if you haven't broken some sort of rules. So not only did he break the rules with the with the sign stealing and all that, but also, you know, the recruiting violations. There's been rules broken all over the place with this program. And, you know, I think that's led to, you know, them being, you know, having more success maybe. And I don't think you can look at what they've done the last few years and not include you know, the rule breaking and the you know, the black eye, so to speak. I think you have to include that when you look at their last 3 years in totality. I think that that's got to be, you know, part of it.
I totally
Yeah.
agree. I mean, from now, I mean, no one respects that natty that they won. There's always going to be controversy. If they get to keep it, we don't know if they're going to get to keep it, but if they
They're
do,
not.
that's always going to have an asterisk over it. People are always going to not respect them. They're always going to say, "Yeah, but you cheated."
Yeah.
Of
You
course.
know,
Oh no,
I
their
mean,
natty will never be recognized by anybody, no matter how much they want to try it. It never will be recognized.
so Nate,
Uh,
that's 8:48, buddy. So
yeah.
we appreciate you coming on. Before you leave, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and how they can follow your show.
Yeah, man. We are on Twitter. It's man_coverage. You can go to YouTube. It's man coverage 2075. You can go to Facebook. We are on anywhere you can get your podcast. You can find us. We do our show during the season is live on Mondays. We typically are at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, and we do a recap show where we break down, you know, the biggest, you know, high points of the games on Saturday and kind of highlight, you know, what we saw, and you know, kind of preview the week moving forward. Usually have a guest or two break down what they saw, and typically we've got somebody from the Buckeye Land joining us as well. As one of our guest hosts is Steve Belisari for quarterback up there, and we've had other former quarterback Greg
Nice.
Fry join us last year. But we had both quarterbacks joining us for half the season last year coming down the stretch. So
Nice.
it's always fun, man. It's always exciting. And we've got my buddy James Bonneville, who played up at Minnesota, who also joins me and helps me break down, you know, what went down on every single college football Saturday. So definitely check it out. And I just want to thank you guys for having me today. I've been out of the game for a couple of weeks here, and so I appreciate you bringing me back on and having me on your show tonight. I really appreciate you.
And we appreciate you coming on. You got an
Yep.
open invitation, buddy. So come back we'll have it back during the season, break down some stuff and just talk some more football, man.
That sounds great. Nice to meet you, TG,
Nice
and
to meet you.
Sean. Keep it real, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Okay, bye.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. Thanks
Have a
again,
good
man. We
night.
appreciate you,
All right,
brother.
guys, take it easy.
Guys, please, if you get a chance, go subscribe to Man Coverage. I mean, you can find it on YouTube, like he said. I mean, guy's got great content. Just a great dude. I met him on X, and he's just been an awesome dude to talk to and share ideas with. And he knows his stuff, and he's a great Buckeye fan. So, guys, let's help him out and subscribe to his channel, please.
Yeah, help him out, subscribe to his channel, and help us get. And let's be real, let's have a great time when this guy comes back on. And for all you who maybe see me like kind of do this with my hands and stuff, it's because I have a gnat in here just flying in my face every time. So just ignore it.
No, come on, tell the truth. You're breakdancing. Come on.
No,
Come on, break it down.
no, I'm not. I'm not breakdancing. I'm not gonna do that on camera. I have to fight gnats in here all because a family member of mine keeps drinking beer and leaves the cans open. So now I gotta deal with this flying in my room all day,
Oh, geez.
like now. So, but anyways, so we can pretty much get more into it, Sean, about because with Jeremiah Smith, do you think he's becoming a leader? And where do you think he will rank among the Buckeye coaches if he fulfills his promise, you know, with the not losing to Michigan within the next 2 years? Where do you think he'd be ranked all time?
It'd be best. I mean, he's already the best receiver ever. I mean, he jumped Chris Carter, and that's, I mean, to do that, even Chris Carter said he's better than I was. I mean, that's, basically the second best receiver in NFL history behind Jerry Rice, saying, hey, this kid was way better than I was at that age. And Chris Carter had the best freshman year any receivers had in Ohio State history. And Jeremiah just, I mean, granted, I'll give Chris a little bit of slack because back then they didn't throw the ball that much. So I mean,
I
but
mean, it
he's
was still
not.
historic with the type of numbers he was
Yeah,
putting up with
sure.
them not throwing the ball up
Yeah,
as much. So,
exactly.
like, let's be
So I
honest.
mean, but I think no matter what he does, he will go down as a legend. He's already a leader because everybody talks about the hard work that he puts in. The kid doesn't go out
Mhm.
partying. He doesn't chase girls. He's not about chasing the bag either. Well, he's about business,
Yeah. Do you
football,
think he become a, do you
dedication
think
to
he
it.
become a captain because of all that too?
I think he will be a captain. I don't know. I don't think it'll be this year, but I think it'll be next year. I think it'll be
Oh
his
yeah, that's what
junior
I was
year.
trying to see.
But
Sophomore
I think
year.
he'll be a captain. I mean, there's no doubt about it because he's not coming back for a senior year. No matter how
Of
much we
course.
want him to, he's not going to, people. I mean,
Like he's probably gonna end up being a top 3 pick, if anything,
yeah,
maybe the number 1
exactly.
pick. If he has the season we think he could have in his junior year, that kid would probably be the number 1 pick for all we
So,
know.
so I mean, honestly, I mean, I think this year he'll do great things, but I mean, next year's going to be even better because that'll give him, he'll have a year with Julian already. So he'll have another year with Julian.
Yeah,
Are
that'd
you,
be great.
are you trying to do the OHIO for us?
No, I was clapping because I had a net in my face again.
How about maybe that or YMCA, you know?
I swear to God, I hate that. And yeah, like you guys are gonna see me do that on camera because the more of them that keep flying in my face, the more I'm gonna keep trying to do this. And this is also why I got my swatter over here because when I hit my microphone, that's why I die legit because I'm so sick of these things. Um, and I wish Knox had stayed on because there were more parts, but you and I could actually get more into it, which
Oh,
is obviously we talked about the team up north part where the black call, so we already answered that.
yeah.
The other part of it was how long do you think it will take Scum to recover from all that? The cheaters up north to recover from that?
I think whew, it all depends on what the punishment is. I mean, honestly, if if it's what we think it is, 10 years, if
I was thinking
that.
like 20, 30,
It
because I
all
actually
depends.
think the NCAA will punish them harshly. Where you think it would be 10 years, but given what's going on with this program, especially because now they're breaking the rules with this with the house settlement, that it could take even longer just because of that. So I'm
Well,
combining basically both.
Well, it's going to depend on who they hire. I mean, because they're going to get a new president, they're going to get a new athletic director. Because
Here's
Ward
my
Manuel's
question.
going to be gone. I mean,
Yeah, you would think so.
Sherrod, I think Ward Manuel's going to be he's going to be gone. I mean, after all this comes down, there's no way he survives that. If he survives it, they got to be the stupidest university in the history of universities. And
I mean, I
I
hope
know
they
we think
keep
they
him
are.
because I would love for their program to continue to suffer. I hope they keep him.
But I mean, Sharon Moore might not even survive this year with the show cause that they're going to give him because he won't be able to coach. I mean, they're not going to hold a spot for him, an intern for 1 or 2 years if he gets a 2-year show cause. I
I
mean,
mean, they had the opportunity to hire like Kellen DeBoer, and you put up with Sharon Moore. Like you're an idiot.
I
And
mean,
he wanted that job, funny enough, despite all the bad that was going on there. So, like, you were dumb enough to hire Sharon Moore.
honestly, I think what they did though is they structured his contract so the buyout wouldn't be bad. And
Mm-hmm.
if he gets suspended or he gets a show cause or whatever, they can give him his little payoff and he'll fall on the sword for Michigan, and he'll walk away with,
He's an
you know,
idiot. I will tell him that now. You're
hey,
an idiot. You're an idiot.
he's an idiot that's going to get like $12 million. I mean,
No,
that's
because here's my thing. Like, you're willing to fall on the sword for this program? Like, dude, you're basically and you're talking about for 12 million. Like, no, if you're gonna make me fall on the sword, you're gonna pay me 30 mil for that.
yeah,
Like, heck
no.
no, no. Like, he's an
So
idiot.
I mean, his coaching career for college is going to be screwed. I mean, honestly, I mean, if he gets that show cause, he's going to be out of coaching for a couple years, then he'll come back. But who's
I
going to
think there's
actually
also a chance that there could be another NOA that happens as well. Because remember we talked about it about how there could be like 2, if not 3 more. So
Sure.
it's like you got so many going on there. It's like, oh, if you're Michigan, you just take whatever they give you. Because I don't think you survive getting like 3 more. Because that's the other reason why I think it could take them a lot longer. Is if there's like 3 more with the Matt Weiss hacking that we hear, it could be like another NOA. The
Okay.
gambling that was found on their computers, and then obviously the Blake Corum Connor Stein's LLC business, like there's a potential for an NOA on that too. So it's like if you're gonna have 3, that's just bad. Like you're not gonna recover from. It'll take you like years to recover from this.
Yeah.
Like I don't care how much money and I say this to all these kids like Carter Meadows who went to Lake Michigan. No matter how much money they pay you, you don't want to suffer for the idiocy of this program. It's gonna take them years to recover. And on top of the fact you're breaking the house settlement, so it's gonna take you even longer to recover from that.
Those kids are gonna have a chance to bail. I mean,
Yeah, they are, but still, like, it's like you pretty much wasted. Like, I know for a fact that a lot of those kids that are committed to them will probably end up flipping their commitments because they don't want to deal with that. But it's
sure.
like, I don't think you realize that if you do go there, you're wasting. Like, I think Bryce Underwood wasted his time going over there. It doesn't matter if they're paying you 12 to 15. Like, you basically just wasted a year of your development.
He's not gonna care. I mean, he's gonna get $12 million. Then some other school's gonna give him another gigantic bag to go there.
No, they not. If he plays like ass at Michigan, they're not finna.
I don't even know if I mean, who knows if he plays this year? If they get a 5-year bowl ban or a 3-year bowl ban, he might say see you later.
Then you better go to LSU, brother. They want to offer you as much money as Tennessee was willing to offer Nico. So, like, let's be realistic. I know it's a difference with $12 million going down at that point. Guess what, brother? You'd rather take the $8 million to stand at a $12 million, wasting your development. Because even you said it yourself, they can't develop quarterbacks. It shows.
I mean, they can't develop receivers either. I mean,
nope.
we saw that some kid that they thought they were going to get was a 5-star kid that I was told was better than Chris Henry and Caden Dixon Wyatt.
Right.
And he was supposed to team up with Underwood and take over the Big Ten. Well, that kid
he went to Syracuse.
He went to Syracuse. He decided, hey, I'm going to go to a school where they throw the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And the quarterback they air it out more than they run the ball. I'm going to get a chance to put up a lot of stats. And I'm not going to have to block the whole time. So, I mean, Syracuse. I mean, it was just to watch those people melt down on Twitter.
And threaten a 17-year-old kid.
Threaten a 17-year-old. What a
like! I don't threaten kids regardless of that. I just think you're an idiot for taking that because a lot of these, you're an idiot because it's like you don't know if these schools are even gonna pay up for real. Like you don't know that, and you think these deals are legit till you find out it's not. And that's why Ohio State doesn't.
The guy's a clown. He knows who. The guy's a clown. He knows who he is. He's a coward, and you're a pathetic loser. I know who you are, you know who I am, and you blocked me and you hide. So you are a coward and you are a pathetic loser to threaten a 17-year-old kid because he wouldn't come to your school. Well, guess what? Maybe he wants to win. Maybe he wants to develop because you haven't put in a first-round draft pick since Braylon Edwards, and he had one good year in the NFL, and then he was garbage. So
that's the unfortunate part.
The kid, you know.
The kid probably wants to be developed. That's just the reality. Like, most of these kids that go to... Because here's the funny thing about Michigan. And I know I'm finna make their freaking YouTube spaces melt down as well as all social media. I'm finna make these mofos melt down when I say this. Y'all can't develop NFL players for nothing. The one NFL player you got that's actually good is Adrian Hutchinson. And Nico Collins is only good because he's got C.J. Stroud. Without C.J. Stroud, he wouldn't be anything. But those are the only 2 dudes that you have. These past 5 years, your players in the NFL are straight trash garbage. You have no proof of concept as far as developing players for the NFL. You don't. And it's even proven based off we've seen how many rookies we've seen that got like playing time from the moment they hit the field from multiple other schools. We've seen it. The list contains of the same main 3, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, obviously. Then you got Penn State. You know who else is on that list? Cincinnati at number 5. I'm Cincinnati? Cincinnati. Like, no Michigan? Oh, but that's even worse. Like, then you got LSU. Obviously, we know they have some NFL talent every now and again. Yeah. But guess what? You know who else on there? Illinois. Of all the schools you think would be on that list, Illinois talent is on that list?
And last time they had a 5-star receiver there. Name was Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he was a 7th round draft pick for the Cleveland Browns. 7th round. Maybe I might be correct. He might have been a 6th round. He was either 6th or 7th round draft pick, and he had a decent rookie year. I mean, I'll give him that, but after that, he really didn't do much.
Yeah,
and then you took a 5-star, you ram in the ground.
Bro, it's funnier because guess who else is on the list? You got Washington, and Iowa. Freaking Iowa is on that list. Freaking
Iowa.
Washington. And at
Iowa
least I
put
can
some
understand
great
what Iowa,
lines.
you got tight ends, offensive line, running backs, and defense. I can say that reminded me. But Michigan, you're supposed to be the blue blood. You're supposed to be a team that's supposed to be better than everybody else as much as your fans claim. And yet you have less players in the NFL than freaking Iowa and Washington, who I know they have great players the last NFL draft in 2024. But what other elite players have they had that you know of? I don't. And it's like they got more NFL players in the NFL than you, who also from their rookie season get more people in the NFL. Imagine that.
More snaps. They get more
Right,
snaps.
they get more snaps. And then Notre Dame's number 10, so that's even funnier. And it's not surprising because they have NFL talent on their team. But that's funny that you have Cincinnati, Illinois. These are the main two teams you look at and be like, how are they on this list but not Scum, right? How? You know? And then
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody in the chat for tonight. You guys have been awesome. He was a 6th round pick. I'm sorry. I was corrected, Tyler. I said 6th or 7th round, but yeah, he was a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
And someone made a joke to me. He goes, "Well, you took Julian Fleming, and look at what you did with him." I said, "That was one guy." I said,
And
"Where's
let's be
everybody
real,
else?"
and not only that with Fleming, I even mentioned it to the Mr. Michigan fan himself that you do realize his career got totaled because of injuries. Had it not been for injuries, I think he could have been a really good receiver. So that's. I mean, we've seen it with Cameron Babb. I mean, his whole career got tarnished because of injuries. So now he can't even play anymore because of that. So you can't say much.
Yeah, we took a 3-star named Santonio Holmes, and look what he did.
Made the greatest catch in Super Bowl history. Greatest, most memorable catch in the Super Bowl history.
And destroyed you guys every year he played you guys. I mean,
it's even funnier because I guess we could save these next details I have on here for next week's show with another guest we're gonna have, if I'm not mistaken, and it's gonna be a big time guest from another podcast.
Big time guest next week. Another big time a podcast that everybody knows or should know. Guys have been around for a while, but we'll keep it a little surprise for you guys.
Till we could confirm he can't come on the show because we don't want to look like idiots like promoting it, and then all of a sudden he just he does a show.
90% he's gonna show. Talk to him, so it'll be in the thumbnail the next Tuesday. It'll be in the thumbnail early in the day.
If it's confirmed beforehand, we'll promote it on the call-in show like we would do. But if not before, then we'll pretty much just have it in as a surprise for for the Tuesday in the thumbnail. And the topics that we will be discussing that we didn't get a chance to get to today, which was the defensive line recruiting, and 2025 bowl predictions, and we'll have a little bit more topics to talk about than just these two. There will be more, but just these two will be going into next week's show as well. So since we couldn't get to it today.
Hey, shout out to Nate from Man Coverage coming on. Awesome dude. Great guy. Shout out to Vader, our producer, for helping us out behind the scenes and all he does for us.
Hey, he's the one who helped us out with these show notes today, and we didn't even get a chance to get to the final two. So hopefully he can help us out with that too.
He's been doing a lot of behind the scene work for us, and we love the guy. He's as big a part of the show as we are, so we love him.
Yep.
He's just behind the scenes and he helps us.
Yeah, and make sure to check out his videos, the Vader videos where he breaks down certain recruits as well as certain players on Ohio State's football team. Make sure you guys check out those videos when they come out.
The Force Report with Vader. It's on the Ohio Podcast website. Just go on the Ohio Podcast YouTube channel and you will see the Force Report with Vader. Dude's his videos are off the chain, man.
Off the chain, good, man.
Off the chain.
Off the chain. I love it. And I'm also very happy for them that he gets that thing where he can look into and it'll talk for him. Yeah. I'm happy for him on that.
So hopefully he calls in Thursday. So hopefully call in Thursday, Vader. And like last week, bro. We loved it. Do it again, brother. You're a super talented dude. We love you, bro. So and everybody in the chat, we love you guys. Thank you for supporting us. And please go show Nate some love on Man Coverage and go subscribe to his podcast. You
And
guys
there's
won't be
two people
disappointed.
in the chat I do want to shout out, as in Carrie's, because it's been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Great to have you back in the chat. And there's another guy, I think his name is Kevin. That's also in the chat, if I'm not mistaken, whose chats I
Steely,
put up
the
here.
natural, Sage was
Yeah,
on here. If
yeah,
we missed
he is.
anybody, we're sorry.
Yeah, shout
Uh,
out to Vader, who's still in here. You got Sage Ohio. You got Buckeye Rod.
Buckeye Rod.
Yeah, he's in here.
I saw him on X and talked to him. So thanks for coming in and checking out the show.
And
The
shout out
natural,
to Lacey and Tyler, some of our other wrenches as well.
Lacey, Tyler,
Shout out to our wrenches.
Karis and
The natural
his beautiful wife Beth.
Beth.
Both those people are two of the greatest people you'll ever meet. I got to sit with them at a meetup one time, and first time I ever met them, and I sat there all day with them and Steely and had a blast. We talked Buckeyes, we talked music. It was just a great time, and they are two of the nicest people you will ever meet. I mean, just great down to earth people, and just you won't meet any better people. I tell you, they're awesome. So I love you
I'm
guys.
glad you got to meet him. And shout out to Andre and Lunatic as well for
Bobby
being up in here.
Mack. Bobby Mack
Bobby
in the
Mack.
house too.
Oh, I see you, Bobby Mack.
Our boy Fringe, Tyler, all you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys next Tuesday. And please go check out the video that dropped today. Grandpa Buck in the house.
Hey, Grandpa.
Check out the video that we dropped, the pre-recorded about the Paul Feinbaum. It was
and
awesome.
Tyler, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to ask him that question. I will the next time he comes on. I promise you.
Yeah. So thanks again, guys. And again, we end the show like we always do, Lacey. Lacey TG.
hey, Lacey on the mind. That's fun. Oh wait, Sean.
I-O!
Go Bucks, and we'll
Go
see you guys
Bucks!
next Tuesday.
Peace out!